The sun hangs low in the sky, casting a golden glow over Atlanta's Piedmont Park. It's a Saturday afternoon in late spring, and the park is alive with the hum of community. Families picnic on the grass, kids chase each other near the playground, and a group of friends toss a frisbee in the distance. The air smells of blooming magnolias and grilled hot dogs from a nearby vendor. Among the crowd, Marcus Jackson, a 38-year-old black man, walks with purpose. He's dressed simply: jeans, a white t-shirt with the words "Justice Now" printed in bold black letters, and a pair of well-worn sneakers. His backpack bounces lightly against his shoulders as he heads toward the park's central lawn, where a small stage is being set up for a peaceful protest against environmental racism. Marcus adjusts the straps of his backpack, his mind focused on the speech he's prepared. As a community organizer and environmental science graduate from Morehouse College, he's been fighting for years to bring attention to the toxic waste sites disproportionately placed near black neighborhoods in Georgia. Today's protest is personal. His childhood neighborhood in southwest Atlanta has been battling health issues for years due to a nearby landfill, and the city has done nothing. He glances at his watch, 2:55 p.m. The rally starts in 5 minutes. He can already see a small crowd gathering, mostly black and brown faces, a few allies, holding signs that read "Clean Air for All" and "Stop Environmental Racism." A drummer from a local HBCU marching band warms up, filling the air with a rhythmic beat that echoes the heartbeat of the community. Marcus steps onto the stage, greeting a few familiar faces: Ms. Loretta, an elder from his church who's been fighting for justice since the civil rights movement, and Jamal, a young artist whose murals of black resilience decorate the community center where Marcus volunteers. He sets up a small table with flyers and a petition to demand the relocation of the landfill. The crowd swells to about 50 people, their voices a low murmur of anticipation. Marcus takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of their hope on his shoulders. He taps the microphone, the feedback screeching for a moment before he speaks. "Good afternoon, everyone," Marcus begins, his voice steady and warm. "Thank you for coming out today. We're here because our communities deserve better. We deserve clean air, clean water, and a future where our kids don't get sick just because of where they were born. Southwest Atlanta has been ignored for too long, and it's time for change." The crowd claps, a few shouts of "That's right" ringing out. Marcus feels a swell of pride. This is what he's worked for, bringing people together, giving voice to the voiceless. He continues, detailing the statistics. The asthma rates in his neighborhood are double the national average, and cancer clusters have been linked to the landfill's toxic runoff. He's in the middle of calling for a city council investigation when he notices a ripple in the crowd. Heads turn toward the park's entrance, where 3 police cars pull up, their lights flashing silently. Marcus's stomach tightens, but he keeps speaking, hoping they're just passing through. They're not. 6 officers step out, their hands resting on their belts as they approach the crowd. The lead officer, a stocky white man with a buzz cut and a stern expression, locks eyes with Marcus. His name tag reads Officer Daniels. Marcus recognizes the look: suspicion, the kind that's followed him since he was a teenager walking home from school with his hoodie up. He's seen it in store clerks who trail him down aisles, in TSA agents who randomly pull him aside at airports, and now here at a peaceful protest he organized with permits and permissions. The crowd grows quiet, the drummer stopping mid-beat. Officer Daniels steps closer, his voice booming over the murmurs. "Who's in charge here?" he demands, his tone laced with accusation. Marcus raises his hand, stepping forward. "I am Marcus Jackson. We have a permit for this gathering, sir. Everything's in order." Daniels smirks, his eyes narrowing. "A permit, huh? We'll see about that. We got a call about a disturbance. Said there's a group here causing trouble, possibly inciting violence." The crowd murmurs in disbelief. Ms. Loretta speaks up, her voice trembling with anger. "Violence? We're standing here talking about clean air for our babies. Ain't nobody causing trouble but you showing up like this." Daniels ignores her, motioning to his officers to fan out. "I need to see that permit, and I need everyone to disperse. Now." Marcus pulls the permit from his backpack, handing it over with a steady hand, though his heart races. He's been in situations like this before, pulled over for looking suspicious, while driving his beat-up Toyota, questioned for jogging in his own neighborhood at dusk. But this feels different. The air is thick with tension, the crowd's unease palpable. Daniels scans the permit, his lips curling into a sneer. "This looks fake to me," he says, crumpling the paper and tossing it to the ground. The crowd gasps, a few people shouting in protest. Marcus feels a surge of anger but keeps his voice calm. That's a legal document, officer. I have a copy on my phone if you'd like to see it. We're not breaking any laws here. Daniel steps closer, his face inches from Marcus's. I don't like your tone, boy. You're starting to look like a problem. The word boy lands like a slap, a deliberate microaggression that Marcus has heard too many times. The crowd bristles, some stepping forward to defend Marcus, but he holds up a hand to stop them. He knows how quickly this can escalate. Officer, we're just exercising our First Amendment rights, Marcus says, his voice firm but measured. We're not here to cause trouble. We're here to demand justice for our community. Daniels chuckles, a cold, hollow sound. Justice, huh? You people always got something to complain about. Let's see what's in that backpack. You look like you might be carrying something illegal. The accusation hangs in the air, absurd but dangerous. Marcus knows there's nothing in his backpack but flyers, a water bottle, and his laptop, but he also knows that doesn't matter. He's seen too many stories, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile, George Floyd, where innocence didn't protect black men from violence. He hands over the backpack, his hands trembling slightly as Daniels rifles through it, tossing items onto the grass. Nothing here, Daniels mutters, disappointed. But instead of stepping back, he signals to his officers. Cuff him. He's resisting. Resisting? Marcus echoes, incredulous. I've done everything you asked. I'm not resisting. The crowd erupts, shouting in protest as two officers grab Marcus, forcing his arms behind his back. The cold metal of the handcuffs bites into his wrists, and he winces as they tighten them too hard. Ms. Loretta pulls out her phone, recording the scene, her voice shaking with rage. Y'all see this? They're arresting him for nothing. This is what we're fighting against. Jamal steps forward, his fists clenched. Let him go. He didn't do anything. Daniels turns to the crowd, his hand on his holster. Back off or you're all going down to the station. This rally is over. Marcus feels the weight of humiliation as the officers drag him toward the police car. The crowd's shouts fade into a dull roar in his ears, his mind racing. He thinks of his daughter, Aaliyah, who's waiting at home with her grandmother, expecting him to return with stories of how the rally went. He thinks of the petition now scattered on the grass, and the community that trusted him to lead this fight. As the car door slams shut, he catches a glimpse of Daniel smirking through the window, and a fire ignites in his chest. This isn't over. At the station, Marcus sits in a holding cell, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. His wrists ache from the cuffs, and a bruise is forming on his arm where one of the officers gripped him too hard. He's been here for hours, denied a phone call, denied bail. The charge, they tell him, is inciting a riot, a fabricated accusation that could land him in jail for years if it sticks. He overhears Daniels talking to another officer outside the cell, their voices low but clear. These types always think they can cause trouble and get away with it, Daniels says, chuckling. I'll make sure the judge throws the book at him. Judge Harper doesn't play around with rioters. Marcus's blood runs cold. Judge Harper is notorious in Atlanta for his harsh sentencing, especially for black defendants. Marcus has seen the statistics. Black men in Georgia are sentenced to 20% longer terms than white men for the same crimes. He knows this isn't just about him. It's about a system designed to silence voices like his. But he also knows something Daniels doesn't. Marcus has been quietly building a network of allies, from community leaders to local politicians, all united in the fight for justice. He's not powerless even if he feels that way now. Days turn into weeks as Marcus awaits his hearing. He's finally granted bail, but the amount is exorbitant, $50,000, far more than he can afford. It's a tactic he's seen before. Bail denial as a form of voter suppression, keeping activists off the streets during critical moments. The protest movement stalls without him, and the city council delays its investigation into the landfill. But Marcus doesn't give up. From his mother's house, where he's staying under house arrest, he organizes virtual meetings with his team, rallying support online. A GoFundMe campaign started by Jamal raises enough to cover his bail, and the video of his arrest goes viral, sparking outrage across the country. The day of the hearing arrives, and Marcus stands in the courthouse, a towering brick building in downtown Atlanta. The courtroom is packed. Supporters from the rally fill the seats, their faces a mix of hope and anger. Ms. Loretta sits in the front row, clutching a rosary, while Jamal sketches a portrait of Marcus on a notepad, capturing the moment for a mural he plans to paint at the community center. Judge Harper, a white man in his 60s with a stern face and a reputation for bias, presides over the case. The prosecutor, a young white woman named Emily Carter, paints Marcus as a dangerous agitator, twisting his words from the rally into threats of violence. "Your Honor," Carter says, her voice dripping with disdain, "this man organized an illegal gathering with the intent to disrupt public order. He resisted arrest and endangered the safety of our officers. We recommend the maximum sentence." Marcus's public defender, a tired-looking man named Mr. Ellis, does his best to counter the narrative, presenting the permit, the video of the arrest, and character witnesses who testify to Marcus's peaceful activism. But Judge Harper's expression remains unchanged, his eyes cold as he looks at Marcus. "Mr. Jackson," Harper says, his voice booming through the courtroom, "I've seen your type before. You think you can stir up trouble and claim it's for a cause. This court doesn't tolerate lawbreakers, no matter how noble you think your intentions are." I'm inclined to agree with the prosecution. The crowd murmurs, a wave of despair washing over them. Marcus feels the weight of the system pressing down on him, the same system that has denied black men justice for centuries. But he refuses to break. He stands tall, his voice steady as he addresses the court. "Your Honor," Marcus says, "I've spent my life fighting for my community because no one else will. I wasn't breaking the law, I was demanding justice. If that makes me a criminal in your eyes, then the system itself is broken." The courtroom falls silent, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Judge Harper's face hardens and he raises his gavel, ready to deliver the sentence. But before he can, the courtroom doors burst open, and a woman in a sharp suit strides in. It's Councilwoman Regina Carter, a black woman who has been a mentor to Marcus since his days at Morehouse. She's followed by a group of reporters, their cameras flashing as she approaches the bench. "Your Honor," Regina says, her voice commanding, "I have new evidence that needs to be considered. This case is a miscarriage of justice, and I won't stand by while an innocent man is railroaded." The crowd gasps and Judge Harper's face reddens with anger. "Councilwoman Carter, this is highly irregular." "What's irregular?" Regina interrupts. "Is the fact that Officer Daniels has a history of racial profiling, documented in multiple complaints that were buried by the department. What's irregular is that the permit Mr. Jackson provided was valid, yet it was destroyed on the scene. And what's irregular is that this court is about to sentence a man for exercising his constitutional rights." She hands a stack of documents to the bailiff, who passes them to Harper. The judge scans the papers, his expression shifting from anger to unease. The documents include body cam footage from another officer at the scene, showing Daniels crumpling the permit and laughing about teaching these people a lesson. There are also testimonies from other activists who've been targeted by Daniels, and a petition signed by thousands demanding Marcus's release. Harper clears his throat, his authority shaken. "In light of this evidence, I'm dismissing the charges against Mr. Jackson." Court adjourned. The crowd erupts in cheers, Ms. Loretta raising her hands in praise, Jamal pumping his fist in the air. Marcus feels a weight lift off his shoulders, but he knows this is only the beginning. As he steps out of the courthouse, surrounded by supporters, he makes a decision. He's not just going to fight for his community, he's going to change the system from the inside. 2 years later, Marcus stands on the steps of the Georgia State Capitol, the sun shining brightly overhead. He's dressed in a sharp suit, the same checkered shirt from the day of the protest tucked beneath his jacket as a reminder of where he started. The crowd before him is massive. Thousands of people, black, white, and brown, waving signs that read "Jackson for Senate" and "A Voice for Justice." Marcus has just been elected as a state senator, a victory that came after a grueling campaign against an incumbent who dismissed environmental racism as not a real issue. Marcus's journey to this moment wasn't easy. After his charges were dropped, he doubled down on his activism, using the viral video of his arrest to launch a grassroots campaign. He partnered with HBCUs like Clark Atlanta University to educate young voters, held rallies at community centers where black art adorned the walls, and spoke at libraries and beaches across the state, sharing his story of injustice and resilience. He faced voter suppression tactics, polling stations in black neighborhoods mysteriously closed, mail-in ballots lost in the system. But his community turned out in record numbers, their voices too loud to silence. Now, as Senator Jackson, Marcus has the power to make real change. He takes the podium, his daughter Aaliyah by his side, her small hand clutching his. The crowd quiets, their eyes fixed on him. 2 years ago, Marcus begins, his voice resonating with strength, I was arrested for standing up for my community. I was called a criminal for demanding clean air and water for my daughter and yours. But today I stand here as your senator, proof that we can rise above injustice and build a better future. The crowd roars, their applause echoing through the Capitol grounds. Marcus continues, outlining his first piece of legislation, the Environmental Justice Act, a bill that mandates stricter regulations on waste sites near marginalized communities and funds health screenings for affected residents. He also introduces a police reform bill, requiring mandatory bias training for all officers and establishing an independent review board to investigate complaints of racial profiling. This isn't about revenge, Marcus says, his voice steady. This is about accountability. It's about making sure no one else has to go through what I did. It's about ensuring our communities aren't just surviving but thriving. He pauses, looking out at the crowd, his eyes landing on Ms. Loretta and Jamal, who stand in the front row, tears in their eyes. I couldn't have done this without you, he says. Our strength is in our unity. Let's keep fighting, together. The crowd chants his name, their voices a powerful chorus of hope. Marcus steps back, pulling Aaliyah into a hug, her laughter a reminder of why he fought so hard. As he looks out at the sea of faces, he knows the road ahead will be long. Systemic racism doesn't disappear overnight, but for the first time he feels the tides shifting. He's not just a protester anymore. He's a senator, a voice for the voiceless, a beacon of change. And he's just getting started. If this story moved you, share it. Let's spark conversations for justice. Subscribe for more stories that inspire change. Drop a comment below. Have you or someone you know faced bias like Marcus did? What reforms do you think we need to see? Let's keep this movement growing.